Hi everyone, I'm meteorologist Craig Flint. Time for another edition of the Weather Academy here on YourErie.com. Thank you for logging on. And this topic that we're going to discuss today, a fairly simplistic topic, right? And it's a question that we get asked a lot. I mean, we get asked a lot of things as meteorologists. How much snow is there going to be? What's the temperature going to be? What's the wind speed? But believe it or not, we get asked this one quite a lot. Partly sunny, partly cloudy. What's the difference? Well, the short answer is it's a little subjective. It's really a personal viewpoint. So you may have a different viewpoint, but I'll share mine with you. However, there is a little bit of science sprinkled in with this. And overall, this does not look like a huge impact to the weather, right? But there are some curious minds out there that wanted to know, so we figured we would dive into this. So again, a real simplistic topic. It'll be nice and quick. So here's what we're looking at. Partly sunny, partly cloudy. You may hear us mention those terms often in a weather forecast. Sometimes we change it up a little bit, mix of clouds and sun, variably cloudy. Lots of terminology, right? But we're really going to focus on the difference here between partly sunny versus partly cloudy. So when we talk about the difference, basically what we're saying here, when we say partly sunny, now don't laugh, that means part of the sky is sunny. Partly cloudy, well, it's just the opposite. Part of the sky is cloudy. So it's not totally clear, but it's not totally cloudy. And again, this is a personal viewpoint, really. I guess it depends on how you want to look at it. Are you a glass half full or a glass half empty type? That's kind of the comparison you can make here when it comes to these two terminologies. And again, we like to kind of change it up a little bit. But what we're going to do here is we're going to kind of break this down even more as we take you through this edition of the Weather Academy. So, how this is ranked and the accepted term by the National Weather Service is partly cloudy. Okay, so if you looked up National Weather Service, they would use the term partly cloudy. And how they do this, and this is where the science comes in a little bit, they rank it by number. It's on a scale of 0 to 10. So obviously, if you're 0 to 3, that's clear or mostly sunny. 4 to 7 is where we get into the partly cloudy, partly sunny. And then 8 to 10 is considered cloudy or mostly cloudy. So the National Weather Service keeps records of that each day, and they give it a value. So 0 to 3, that's pretty self-explanatory. But where it gets kind of questionable, I guess, for some is the partly cloudy category, 4 to 7, right? That's what is considered partly cloudy. Now, if you wanted to break this down even more, let's just focus on the center column here, the 4 to 7. So let's say the day is a 4 or 5. I would probably, again, this is just my personal way of looking at it. If we have a day that's ranked a 4 or 5 in terms of sky coverage, I would call that partly cloudy, because partly cloudy means there is more sun than clouds in the sky, okay? However, you get towards 6 and 7, well, it's just the opposite, right? So now we have more clouds than sun in the sky. So just kind of a breakdown a little bit more, but in general, kind of an overall view. When we talk about partly cloudy, that's the range, 4 to 7, and that's how the National Weather Service defines a partly cloudy day. But again, it is a range here. So the closer you are to 7 or 8, obviously the more clouds you have in the sky. The closer you are to 3 or 4, the less clouds you have in the sky. So again, if you have a day that's ranked a 4 or 5, I would call that a partly cloudy day because, again, more sun than clouds. And then if you get towards 6 and 7, obviously it's more clouds than sun. And then, like I said, 8 to 10, pretty self-explanatory. We'll call that a cloudy or mostly cloudy day. Now, for example, when we taped this, Tuesday was a mostly sunny day. that is going to fall in the 0 to 3 range for sure, because it was one of those days where you went outside, especially in the afternoon, and you couldn't find a cloud anywhere. However, the first part of the day did have some cloud cover, so maybe I'll call that an audible and say they call it a 3 or 4, because we did have some clouds around to start the day, but they cleared out for the afternoon. So what do these numbers mean? Okay, they're fractions, all right? So like 0 to 10 is the scale. Say we have a mostly cloudy day, and say they label it as an 8, okay? That means 8/10 of the sky is covered with clouds. Same thing. If it's partly cloudy or partly sunny, depending on how you look at it, 4/10 of the sky covered with clouds, and then obviously 0 to 3 is pretty self-explanatory. Now, again, the National Weather Service does keep records of all of this. So I went back and looked over the past 3 or 4 years and broke it down month by month, and it's pretty easy to see when the sunniest weather occurs for us. So here we are, Jan and Feb, right? 8/10, 7/10 of the sky on average, usually covered with clouds. Here we are in early March. Again, Tuesday, we had that bright blue sunshine, so obviously a little bit of an anomaly for March, but usually March is a fairly cloudy month. And you can see how the numbers start to go down. 6/10 down to 5/10 in May, and then as we get into June and July, there you go, 4/10 of the sky on average covered with clouds in June, and then July, obviously our sunniest month, 2/10 of the sky, so that would be sunny to mostly sunny weather, and then we start going the other way again, right? So as we get into August, we climb back up to 3, 5/10 in September, 6/10 in October, and then we get towards 7 and 8/10 once again as we get towards November and December. So you can see how this kind of behaves itself through the course of the year, with the brightest weather and the best weather in terms of sky cover occurring in the month of July. Well, here we are in March, on average about 7/10, and then you can see as we go towards the fall, the numbers start to go up again. So real simple, right? That's kind of the difference between partly sunny and partly cloudy. And really, it's just a personal preference, but there is a little science mixed in, as I mentioned. That's what all these numbers mean. Each day, the National Weather Service will keep records of the sky cover, and then it will be placed on the climatology report for that particular month. And again, these numbers that you see here are just averages. You can get bright sunshine like we had on Tuesday in March, and as you get towards later in the year as well. October, maybe a day or two in November, you can get a bright blue sky. But on average, beginning of the year, end of the year, that's when we have our most cloud cover, or the cloudiest weather here in Erie, Pennsylvania, and this data is for the Erie International. So we're headed towards July, right? We're headed towards the brightest weather. So just a couple more weeks to get through in terms of the wintry cold and the cloudy weather, and then things will start to improve. So that's it, really. Like I said, short and sweet, simple explanation, partly sunny, partly cloudy. You may hear us mention that. To really break it down for you, personally, I like to reserve partly sunny for the day and then partly cloudy at night, because the sun goes down at night, right? So you don't see the sun. But there is a little science in there, and it really just depends on your viewpoint. Are you glass half full or glass half empty? But believe it or not, there is a little science that goes into the percentage of the sky that is covered with clouds. So now you know the difference between partly cloudy and partly sunny. That'll do it for this edition of Weather Academy. Short, sweet, little lesson for you on the difference between partly sunny and partly cloudy. And no matter what, we are heading for that brighter weather as we get deeper into the spring and then eventually into the summer. We'll be back next week with another weather topic. Until then, I'm meteorologist Craig Flint. Thanks for logging on to YourErie.com, and we'll see you next time on the Weather Academy.